Hey guys, I'm back making another video. We're doing a Tierlist video, ranking the UFC champions. This is going to be including the interim and the BMF champion. But we'll get started, and we'll go with the lightweight champion, Islam Makhachev. Longest reigning champion, man, you got him on the S tier. Arguably the best resume out of every single champion of what they did in their division. He's beat Volkanovski twice. He's beat Charles Oliveira, and he's beaten Arman Tsarukyan. He's going to be fighting him again. So, yeah, and he's beaten Dustin Poirier. How can I even forget about that? But what a great resume this man has. And he does have some depth to his resume as well, like Bob Green, Dan Hooker, those guys. But yeah, Islam Makhachev is the standard of a UFC champion, and I find it hard not to put him in the S tier. He is the best champion in the UFC right now. Arguably the greatest, like skill-wise, arguably the best fighter there's ever been. So, S tier. The legacy he's going to leave behind, I think, is going to be far better than Khabib's. In my opinion, he's already passed up Khabib on the GOAT list. Or not on the GOAT list, on the lightweight GOAT list. I still think Khabib's slightly above Islam, but Islam, with one more win, he's going to surpass Khabib. Now moving on to the middleweight champion, Dricus du Plessis. I wouldn't put him, honestly, at the D tier. Like, he beat Strickland. This is based on what they've done as a champion. Like, no, okay. C tier. He beat Strickland by a split decision. Obviously, he hasn't defended his belt yet. He's going to be fighting Adesanya. I'd say if he beats Adesanya, he's at the B tier. But right now, he hasn't beat Adesanya, and I struggle to put him at the C tier, or at the anything above the C tier. Honestly, he hasn't defended the belt. To win the belt, obviously, it was a split decision. I feel like you got to do better than that if you want to be higher. An example, I will get onto that later, of a champion who doesn't have a defense yet, but I think he is above the C tier. Now, he did beat Robert Whittaker, great win. That almost puts him at the B tier, but still, he's got to defend his belt first, in my opinion. Get a solid victory, and maybe beat Strickland in that rematch definitively. Moving on, we're going to go with Alejandro Pantoja now. I'm going to put him at the A tier. I do believe Ursag won that fight, but that does not mean Alejandro Pantoja is not one of the best champions in the UFC currently. He's sitting at, 2-3 defenses, I believe, which is not too bad. But, he's beat Brandon Moreno, he's beat Brandon Royval, Kara France, but he's beat, Steve Ursag, and he's like I'm saying this a lot, but he's a stand-up champion, and, well, he may be boring, but he does get it done at the end of the day. I was also looking forward to seeing that Muhammad Mokaev fight, but it doesn't seem like that's going to be happening for a long time, if at all. So, potentially could see an O'Malley fight, which would be very interesting. I doubt that. I doubt the UFC would want him to go for a double champ. I'd reckon O'Malley's going to go for a double champ before Pantoja even thinks about it. But, yeah. Speaking of O'Malley, we put O'Malley straight at the B tier. He's right now an average champion. He beat a great fighter, which is Aljamain Sterling, but he did defend against someone who honestly shouldn't even be in the top 5, and that's Marlon Vera. He's not that good, to be honest. He's good. He can beat solid competition, but he's kind of a fluky fighter. But you gotta give O'Malley his props. I mean, he's beat Pierre Dion, obviously Aljamain Sterling, which is one of the bantamweight goats, and pound for pound number 15, I believe, number 14. Sean O'Malley, he has a lot of skill. I believe he's going to be the bantamweight goat in the future, especially if he beats Merab. It's going to be very interesting to see how well he stacks up with the likes of Dominic Cruz, and, well, Aljamain Sterling. But yeah, we're going to put O'Malley at that B tier. And Tom Aspinall, who's an interim champion, I'm going to stick him at the A tier. I believe he is the undisputed heavyweight champion. But he's not. So I'll just stick with the A tier. He's beaten the likes of Sergey Pavlovich, Alexander Volkov, Curtis Blades. He's beaten top competition. The only man he hasn't really beaten is Cyril Gane and, of course, John Jones. But I don't think that fight's ever going to happen, and it's not his fault. It's John Jones' fault. And the UFC's fault for making that Stipe fight. That's atrocious in my opinion. But Tom Aspinall just knocking people out. His aura is crazy right now. His hype is at its peak. And I think it's just going to continue to rise. I think this man's going to become the heavyweight GOAT. And there's not much else to say. Tom Aspinall is an amazing fighter. I think he has some of the best boxing in the UFC. Probably number 10 or 11. I think he's kind of neck and neck with Pereira, but Pereira might edge him out. But I'm not sure. But next, I guess we'll get down to the real heavyweight champion, John Jones. I'm going to put John Jones at the D tier. Now, he's a great fighter with a good resume. But we're talking about heavyweight here and heavyweight only. He's beaten Cyril Gane, who, yes, is a top contender. He's a top contender. But, come on, he has no grappling. And he grappled, like, it would have been, I would rate the win more highly if he would have outstruck him to a victory. But he didn't, he wrestled him, which is completely fine, it's MMA. But it's a guy with zero wrestling. And considering he's going to be fighting Old Man Stipe next, I don't think this man is a good champion at all. I think he is the worst champion in the UFC, honestly, besides one fighter that I will put below him. But I don't think anybody's campaigning for John Jones to fight Stipe anytime soon. I think it's a terrible fight. I mean, I think the fight will be good after the fact, when no one's going to be hyped for it. And that's what really matters. So I think John Jones, worst champion right now. Now, if I were to say his career, I'd probably put him in this tier. But I do believe he's an overrated fighter. Like, he hasn't really beaten great competition. He doesn't really, except Daniel Cormier, of course. But he had to use steroids in that fight, both of the fights, which is why one was a no contest. And really, he's beaten bulked up, or not bulked up, like just middleweights who, yeah, I guess did bulk up, but they're not true light heavyweights. And I believe that's who he was beating his whole career. But moving on, Ilya Topuria, I'll put him at the B tier. Come on, he knocked out Alexander Volkanovski, who was a number one pound for pound fighter until he lost to Islam the second time. But if you beat Alexander Volkanovski, I'm gonna at least have you at the B tier. Now, if he beats Max Holloway, I don't think anybody's stopping this guy except Sean O'Malley. But yeah, we just have to pray to God that Max Holloway will beat him, because if he doesn't, then this man is unstoppable, truly. I guess Islam could beat him, but I don't see Topuria moving up in weight anytime soon, despite what he says. But yeah, Ilya Topuria, he's beaten Alexander Volkanovski. That's really his best win, which I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying he only has one amazing win. He doesn't really have any other good wins besides Josh Emmett, who's a good fighter, but he's not an elite or anything. He's just kind of a gatekeeper who might work his way into the top 5 at some point. But yeah, as far as his resume goes, it's not the greatest of all time. Bryce Mitchell, Emmett, Volkanovski is an amazing win. But you know, he beats Holloway, I think he is going to be one of the better champions. But until then, anyways, we'll get on to Belal Muhammad. Like I was saying, him and Ilya Topuria are going to be above Dricus Du Plessis. I mean, Belal Muhammad beat number 4 pound for pound at the time, Leon Edwards. That's in by decision in his hometown as well, or his home country at the very least. But that's very impressive. He dominated him on the ground, apart from that third round where he just kind of got held down. But yeah, I mean, how can you not give Bilal Muhammad his props? Obviously, he was clowned going into the fight, and he's going to be clowned now, and he is being clowned. But that doesn't mean you can't give him his props. He is going to be one of the better champions. Well, he is one of the better champions, skill-wise. It's just, his competition, he's going to have to face Shavkat next. Which, to be honest, I don't think Shavkat deserves a title shot. I mean, getting a title shot off of Stephen Wonderboy Thompson in the year 2024, it's crazy, to be honest. And I do believe Shavkat should have to fight somebody else. I think Jack Della Maddalena is more reason to get a title shot. I mean, Gilbert Burns is a better win than Stephen Thompson at this stage in all of the fighters' careers. And I think Bilal Muhammad, honestly, I think Maddalena beats him. But I think Bilal would beat Shavkat. I just don't think Shavkat has the head movement to avoid the strikes, and I think that would add up. But we're not making fight predictions here, we're ranking champions. Bilal Muhammad at the B tier. Let's move on. Alex Pereira. We're going to put him. Honestly, we're going to have to put him in the S tier as well. I don't believe he has the skills of Islam Makhachev, but he definitely has the striking and more. And the aura around this guy right now is peak. And his activity levels is amazing. He's a stand-up champion. I'm glad that he actually defends his belt, unlike a lot of these other guys, like, I don't know, John Jones. But, yeah, he's a great champion. He makes great fights, although quick fights, but great ones regardless. Yeah, Alex Pereira. I don't know what to say, man. He just puts people's lights out, and he's just a Shalma, and calls it a day. So let's move on. Max Holloway. Now, of course, he's the BMF champion, so I find it hard to rate him highly. But I'll go ahead and put him on the B tier with a lot of other guys. Now, I think Max Holloway, the reason I'm not just going to put him like the C tier or the D tier is because he's such a high-level fighter, and he is getting a title shot next. So I think that's got to count for something. And he's held the titles before, not in lightweight, but in featherweight. And I think, I don't know, it's hard, but he did beat Justin Gaethje for the belt. It's not like he's beating Nate Diaz or anything like Masvidal. But I think it's a good enough fighter to be at this B tier. I know he's the BMF champion, and the BMF champion, it's kind of a, Mickey Mouse belt, if you want to say. But I just find it, like, if it was Justin Gaethje or one of those guys, I would probably put it at the C tier. But it's because Max Holloway, former world champion, very high-level fighter, is why I am going to put him at the B tier. You might disagree, but that's where I think he should be. Now, moving on. Skip the video. I don't blame you. Raquel Pennington, D tier. What do I have to say? She hasn't defended a belt. She beat Mayra Bueno Silva for the belt, and the reason she got that opportunity is because the world champion retired. Okay, yeah, no. D tier. Zhang Weili. I'm gonna put her at the E tier. Zhang Weili, definitely the best women's champion we have right now, and she's our only hope. Her and Alexa Grasso are our only hope. I'll put Grasso out the B tier. She beat Valentina Shevchenko. Had a draw with her. Maybe it was a robbery. Who cares? They're going to be fighting again. Both these girls, they're very entertaining. I'm not going to lie. And Zhang Weili, these girls, these two, they're no Raquel Pennington. They'll get some finishes. They're entertaining. Obviously, Zhang Weili's coming off that performance against Yan Zhanao. That was a great performance. That was a great fight. Obviously, it was just overshadowed because it was UFC 300 and Max Holloway versus Gaethje happened and Pereira. But yeah, I mean, A tier for Whaley, B tier for Alexa Grasso. And I think that's where we call it, guys. I hope you guys have a good one, a nice day, and peace.